Daughter Kyra, and Kyra and her mom was here yesterday morning with Perry and Price, and I heard the story, and I was sharing it with Alan. You know, it's like I said, I'm an auntie, and there's nothing greater than seeing my nieces and nephews when I see them, and they come running up to me and they give me a great big hug, and it just feels so nice. But knowing that Kyra's story is different, as recent as June of this year, having difficulty, muscle pains and aches, and going through various specialists here at Kapiolani, and finding out that any subtle touch to her skin would just make her cry, and it's just very uncomfortable. And Alan, you were sharing that you miss that. You miss the moments when, just as recent as 6 months ago, she would come running into the room and wake up you and your wife in the morning. And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, her story actually starts in late April, and she was diagnosed with having a common childhood illness known as the fifth disease.
Okay.
And it's basically something that lasts 7 to 10 days, common, like a common flu. One of the things that's noticeable is you get a slight rash on your body. And so we just kind of took it for granted that, well, you know, in 7 to 10 days it should clear up. And 7 to 10 days passed, and the next thing you know, goes on to 3 weeks. And she's starting to complain a little bit more about walking, you know, up and down stairs, and you know, and she's complaining about getting touched and everything like that when you try and pick her up. And so we would take her to the doctor, and the doctor would check her and basically say, you know, we've seen some cases where it could last maybe even 3 to 5 weeks. And after about 8 weeks, it got so bad that just to stand, she was in pain, she was crying.
And Kyra was about 3.5 years old at this point?
Well, actually, she was at 4... almost 5. She just turned 5 this past Sunday. And yeah, so prior to that, healthy, no problems and anything like that. And then all of a sudden, we have this child who, you know, just to touch her, she's in pain. And so finally, my wife and I decided to just bring her here to Kapiolani and just say, you know, let's just have them check her out. They're the experts here. I mean, where else do we go? And they checked her out and immediately determined that, you know, she needs to be admitted. And so she spent about 4 days here going through a battery of tests. And she was monitored, and you know, after those 4 days, they determined that they needed to do a muscle biopsy to see what was going on. And so we left the hospital. We came back the following week. We did a muscle biopsy. And shortly thereafter, we noticed that she started to lose weight. She wasn't eating. And so we brought her back, and they readmitted her, checked her out, and she was in the hospital for another 11 days. And, you know, there were so many specialists, so many doctors, nurses. I mean, they just took care of her like she was one of theirs. And, you know, if it wasn't for Kapiolani, we don't know, you know, where we would be. We don't know where she would be. And it was determined through all of the tests, through the muscle biopsy, that she was diagnosed with a rare and incurable disease called juvenile dermatomyositis. It's so rare that it affects 3 kids in a million. And you know, to hear something like that, where your child has been healthy for the past 4.5 years, to all of a sudden your child has a disease for the rest of her life, it kind of hits you hard.
It's amazing, because in Hawaii, what we were talking about earlier, when you meet someone, you honi, you give a hug, or you know, a handshake kind of thing, and to not be able to do that with your own daughter.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. You know, and that's something that we found. You know, that you take it for granted that your kids are born healthy, they'll be healthy for the rest of their lives. You know, and then to all of a sudden have something happen it's such a blow. But again, if it wasn't for the specialists here, the doctors, the nurses, the staff, our friends, our family, everybody, just with all the support, the prayers, Kyra wouldn't be where she's at today. And fortunately, she's getting stronger through medication. She's getting stronger through the therapy that that's going on over here at Kapiolani with the wonderful therapist. And she's making strides. And to see your child not be able to walk where she's walked before, and then all of a sudden be able to start taking her first steps again. I mean, it's unreal. It's like a blessing all over again.
951 kids, 951-5437. All monies donated remains right here in Hawaii. Kapiolani is a not-for-profit hospital, and when I met Kyra, who just turned 5 this past Sunday, congratulations, happy birthday. I also got handed a few pictures that she did one for Perry and Price yesterday. She made me 3. In your face now. But it's just great because I was thinking, not being able to hug or hold her, how it would be like to express herself, and for her to be able to hold crayons and hold pens and to be able to, be able to do that. So I appreciate it very much.
And one thing I just wanted to mention about her pictures, is that prior to her getting sick and being in the hospital, she used to draw all kinds of stick figures, and some of them look kind of scary, but we just accepted it. That's how they were. And it's only when she was in the hospital, when we were sitting there, that she would start to take crayons and just start drawing. And it was everything that she drew was hearts.
Yes.
That's all it was. It was just different colored hearts, and that became kind of like her motto, I guess, or her calling. And I guess that was her way of expressing, her appreciation, her thanks to the wonderful staff here at Kapiolani, for taking care of her. Maybe not in so many words because she's a shy girl by nature, but I think through her drawing she expressed herself pretty well.
It's very, very moving, and I very much appreciate the time she took to create these. 951 kids, 951-5437. You can also donate via our website at KSSKradio.com. If you're on the road and you're worried about not having your credit card information, what you can do is call 951 kids, and those with the Costco team who are on the phone bank can take down your mailing address and send you the donation form. So that is one way to do it. And we are here throughout the rest of the afternoon and evening. And I thank you, Ellen, for sharing your story. And Kyra, thank you very much for sharing your lovely artwork. And we'll be back with the Kapiolani Radiothon for Kids with KSSK.
The native language of Hawaii means the gift. And this is a place where you'll find gifts in abundance. Introducing Kapiolani.